Well, hello everybody. You know, this is the end of August. We got to think about planting for September, our fall garden, y'all. That's just next week. And I got on here, I've got a list for Zone 8. I wanted to tell you if you're in Zone 8, and there's a lot of space covering Zone 8. I mean, from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast, you can be in Zone 8. If you're in a different zone, look up your zone, find out what it is, and then do a search on the internet for planting in that zone. And you'll come up with all the plants that you can put in your garden for, starting in September. But here's some for Zone 8. All of your root vegetables like your beets, carrots, even lettuce, kale, spinach, broccoli, cabbage. Yeah, remember my cabbage that I cut because the bugs were getting into it because it was so hot? Well, this time of year, if you plant your cabbage, most of the time, by the time they start to mature, it'll be cool enough that most of the bugs will be gone and they won't be bothering your cabbage. You can plant cauliflower, and I've not tried planting cauliflower. I don't know if I'll try planting cauliflower this year or not. Maybe, we'll see. I do have turnips out there that are trying to grow. I've got half of a raised bed full of turnips. The other half was beets, but the beets died off because it was so hot. The turnips have survived, most of them that I haven't pulled already, as long as I can keep plenty of water to them. But, if I keep them alive now, as soon as the weather cools off a little bit, I think they're going to start producing some pretty turnips. And I'm either going to plant the other half of the bed either with beets again, or either I'll just completely fill the whole raised bed with turnips. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to decide which I want to do on that. Now you can plant your collard greens. Yes, collard greens grow fantastically if they're planted this time of year. That way, toward the cold weather, they'll be matured enough that the cold weather actually sweetens the cabbage, the collards. It gives it a better taste than it does if it's in the summertime. You can plant onions of any kind, like white onions, yellow onions, red onions, Egyptian walking onions, which I've got some more of them I need to plant. I've got so many Egyptian walking onions, it's crazy. You can plant peas. So in my pea patch back there, the heat has killed off most of my peas. Well, it's killed off. And I've only got 1 or 2 vines growing, but they're not producing anything. The leaves are burning up. So I'm going to clean up that. I'm going to revitalize the soil, and I'm going to go ahead and replant with some type of peas or beans or something. You can also plant chard, y'all. That's basically one of your greens, like your spinach or your collards or your cabbage. Chard is another one of those. Now, I like to keep my perpetual spinach growing because the bugs don't seem to bother it. They leave it pretty much alone. It's hardy for this area. It grows really well. In fact, I've got 1 or 2 plants still surviving through this heat of the summer. You can plant mums and marigolds, y'all. I need to get some mums and plant some more in my rock garden out front. At one time, I had it full of mums. And I love it because we got a snow one year, and the mums were blooming when it snowed, and the mums were sticking outside of the snow. So pretty, and they were all blooming. And the snow does not kill mums. They survive through the freezing temperatures in the snow. They like the colder weather. So don't hesitate on planting mums. They are perennials. They'll come up next year. Wildflower seeds. Now, this is a good time to sow your wildflower seeds because they like to spend the winter months in the ground through the freezing temperatures, and then by the spring, they'll start doing their thing. They'll end up blooming and produce really pretty wildflowers for you. The marigolds, now that's just to add basically color to your garden. And I've got a lot of marigolds in my garden that I had going all summer. The heat's killed the plants off for the most part. So I'm going to gather up all the seeds, and there's a ton of seeds out here. And I'm going to replant a lot of them. Not all of them because there's too many seeds. But I will store some of the seeds for next year, And I'm going to go ahead and replant marigolds throughout the garden so it'll look good and it helps keep bugs away. Your trees and perennials, your shrubs, rose bushes. This is the fantastic time of the year to plant rose bushes, shrubs, trees, anything of that nature, because you get them in the ground now, keep them watered for a couple of weeks, and then it's going to start cooling off. We're going to start getting a lot more rain, and that's just going to encourage them to take root. You know, they're already going to have roots on them, but the roots will spread out. They'll take good root into the new soil, and they'll last through the winter months. I got an ant on my foot. That's the only thing about being outside. I have to watch for ants. They'll bite me. And I got little buddy up under my feet here. But yeah, your rose bushes, your trees, shrubberies, any type of a thing like that, this is the fantastic time of the year to plant it. That's one reason I didn't mind buying that rose bush that was $25.99 on sale for $5. I just wished I'd have got more, because I went back the very next day to get another one or two of them, and they were all gone. I got to get that ant off my foot. Sorry about that, y'all. Get him off before he bites my foot. Yeah, and I put ant poison out here. There's just so many ants, you can't get them all. And the next time I go to the store, I'm going to have to buy another bag of ant granules to put out. But yeah, look up your planting zone. I don't know what time I've got on here. Look up your planting zone if you're not in zone 8. And then you can do a search on your planting zone to see what you can plant for a fall garden. And I plan to get mine going. I mean, this time of year you can plant even cilantro, because, you know, it'll be cooler weather. And the cilantro likes colder temperatures. It doesn't like the heat. You know, I had cilantro planted the beginning of the summer, and as soon as that heat kicked in, my cilantro died off. It disappeared. It does not like heat. So if you can't have it inside in air conditioning, cilantro does not survive outside in the Texas heat. But it will probably survive now if you plant it. And there was a few more other things. I can't think of them offhand. But yeah, look up your planting zone. Do a search on the internet and see what your time zone has for a fall garden, so you know what you can look forward to planting next week. I mean, you can start planting next week. You know, I'm going to wait till after the holiday is over Monday. I probably will be going to my son's either Sunday or Monday. I'm not sure yet. And I got another ant on my foot, y'all. I sat in the wrong place. But I thought these coleuses in the background would be a good backdrop. But yeah, check your planting zone. This is a great time, starting next week, to go ahead and get your fall garden planted. And I think you'll be glad you did, because you won't be bothered with as many bugs, worms, or anything of that nature on your garden, because the temperatures will start cooling off. And the bugs and the worms don't like the colder temperatures. They disappear, and that's a good thing. So, yeah, I want to wish all of you happy planting. Let's see what I got on here. Happy planting for your fall garden. And that's basically all I have for you right now. And I think, you know, since I've kept my grape tomatoes, my cherry tomatoes, my Romas, I've got Celebrity, I've got Ponderosa pink tomato plants still alive. I've got several of the beefsteaks still alive. And as soon as, you know, they're still producing, but slowly in this heat. But they'll start producing more tomatoes. As soon as the temperature starts cooling off like it is today, they'll start producing again, just like they did the beginning of the summer. And you'll have a whole another round of big tomatoes before your first freeze. Now, all of them may not ripen, but most of them will. The ones that don't ripen, you can pick before the first freeze. I usually wait till I know it's going to freeze that night. Then I go out there and I pick all my green tomatoes and I bring them in. And if they're not to the point where they'll ripen on the counter, usually they do, I'll chop them up and I'll make chow chow with them. That's how I get my green tomatoes for my chow chow, y'all, is at the end of the growing season, before the freezing temperatures kick in. I pick all my green tomatoes and I make chow chow. So I hope I've given you some good pointers, some good tips on a fall garden. So, yeah, good luck with your fall gardens, all I can say, because I'm planning on planting me something next week, starting next week. I'm going to get a lot of more stuff out there. I'm going to start cleaning up my pea patch. That's what I call it, because that's all I usually have out there is peas. That didn't do very well this year because it was the climate. It would rain and then it would get so hot, everything just steamed and cooked. The plants couldn't take it. But, yeah, I'm going to revitalize those pots out there and I'm going to replant. So, y'all, I hope I've told you something that's helpful. I don't know. Depends on where you're at, I guess. But all I can say is happy fall planting. And I'll see you on the next one. Love y'all. Bye now.